Smart supplementation. Building on nutrition, not replacing it.
Hi there, my beautiful friends. Welcome to Hive. I'm Lorena, and this is our Tuesday talk. I have a lot of ground to cover today to keep building on the talks we've been having about mitochondria and nutrition. So last week we explored how boosting nitric oxide through foods like beets, garlic, and leafy greens can help lower cortisol, improve sleep, and support balanced hormones, which is the name of the game. This week, I want to talk about something women have been asking me about all the time: supplements. What's worth it? What's hype? And how do we avoid wasting time and money? Here's the bottom line. Food is the foundation. Supplements are the bonus layer. They support you, but they don't replace nutrition. So here's why it matters in midlife. As hormones shift, your body's needs shift too. Even if you're eating well, you may not absorb nutrients as efficiently, or you may burn through certain ones faster. That's where smart supplementation helps bridge the gap without overloading your body. And there are ways to supplement to your baseline and then wean yourself off supplements to replace with whole nutrition as your program moves along. Think of it like this. Medical care is the foundation, but coaching adds what the doctor doesn't have time for: nutrition, movement, and stress management lifestyle changes. Nutrition is the foundation, but supplements can coach your cells in the area where food alone might not be enough. Supplements are exactly what the name says: supplemental.
The big four: cortisol, insulin, thyroid, and sex hormones.
These are the four areas I focus on. The big four for hormone balance. Cortisol, your stress hormone, impacts your adrenal glands. Insulin supports your blood sugar. When that's out of whack, literally every other cell is being janky. Thyroid function, your T3 and T4. These hormones play a crucial role in regulating metabolism, growth, development, and other bodily functions. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, those sex hormones. Supplements can support each one, but again, only after food lays the foundation. I'm going to get real with you here for a minute, because this is why I'm so passionate about this. What I discovered about myself that no doctor was able to fully explain is that the changes in my sex hormones during the last few months of perimenopause into my first few months of my first round of what I thought was menopause before, if you've been following, you know this has been an ongoing thing. But those changes, when my sex hormones drop, it raises that cortisol through the roof. And that meant new onset anxiety, stress, and then reaching for comfort foods, which for me are carbs, which are inflammatory, which guess what happened? That raised my cortisol, which also lowers your already depleting sex hormones. And it was just this vicious cycle of my cortisol shooting through the roof, causing more stress, lowering my sex hormones, which also causes more bodily stress, putting my brain into alert to raise that cortisol. We're fight or flight. There's something going on. But lowering my cortisol, balancing my sex hormones, thyroid, and blood sugar, I'm also keeping inflammation low and creating a solid foundation for the years ahead. And if you've been watching for any period of time, you know that is my main goals for y'all as we're navigating this together. We need immediate relief from our symptoms today while also building a strong and sturdy foundation that our 80-year-old selves will look back on and thank us who we are today for taking these steps. So to me, supplements are not just bottles on a shelf. They're part of how I'm rebuilding the balance in my own life.
Raw honey, a spark of life.
Here's another thing. Sometimes the best supplement isn't in a bottle at all. Take raw honey, for example. It's packed with antioxidants, minerals, and enzymes that support gut health, balance blood sugar, better than most other sweeteners, and even help neutralize free radicals. In other words, choosing honey instead of agave or artificial sweeteners or just table sugar is a nutrition first upgrade that acts like a supplement for your body. I actually switched from agave nectar to honey in my coffee because of all of the amazing health benefits, and it tastes so decadent. It's just so good. Remember, the darker the honey, the more potent it is. Just a spoonful can support digestion and immunity in ways that rival supplements. And bonus, it tastes amazing. And it's also pretty cool because it's the Hive.
My personal stack.
Here's the stack I personally use and why. I'm hopeful that my old school Gen X self can pop these up on screen as I'm talking about them, but if not, I will post them in the comments below. Once again, please remember I am not affiliated with any of these companies right now. If that changes in the future, I will be 100% transparent. But for now, these are just the products that I'm using. I get no remuneration from talking about them or showing them on screen. This is just my personal stack. So I get my greens and my reds from a company called Live It Up. They have the Live It Up Super Greens. That's for gut health, micronutrients, and digestion. Their reds is called Feel the Beat, and that's for my nitric oxide boost, stamina, and cortisol balance. I also take an omega-3. Right now I'm using Nordic Naturals Ultimate Omega. It's anti-inflammatory, it's good for brain health and heart support. I've talked about this magnesium glycinate in the past. It was a lifesaver for me. It's called Nature's Truth. It comes in gummies and they're pretty delicious, honestly. But those calm the nervous system, support sleep, and muscle recovery. I take a vitamin D3 and K2 by a brand called Bluebonnet. No, not just because I work for the wonderful Bluebonnet Health Services. It is just a quality supplement by a different company called Bluebonnet. That's for bone density and hormone support. I also take iodine and selenium. My iodine is Triketra and my selenium is from Now products. That's for breast comfort and thyroid safety. I think I've mentioned in the past that I was having terrible breast pain before I started my Oestra, which I'll also talk about in just a moment. But there are more iodine receptors in your breasts than are in your thyroid. So the iodine with sore breasts, that's a sign of iodine deficiency. So I take the iodine for that. The selenium protects the thyroid from any overuse of the iodine. So that's why I take those two together. The iodine again is Triketra and the selenium is Now products. And then I take a DHEA in 25 milligrams. The brand I use is Life Extension. It is a hormone precursor. So DHEA supports healthy hormone balance, memory and cognition, sexual function, bone health, muscle mass, strength, as well as just overall health. But DHEA levels can decline over time. DHEA is a hormone, not for everyone. Talk with your provider, especially with thyroid disease, hormone-sensitive cancer, liver issues, or if you're on prescription meds. If you're an athlete, DHEA is a banned substance by many sports bodies because it boosts performance and can create an unfair advantage to the athletes in competition. What I like about Life Extension is that it's made in an NSF certified facility. It's third party tested, and they actually recommend checking labs before starting DHEA and then 6 weeks after starting DHEA, which is exactly what I would want from any woman considering this hormone supplement. I also take ashwagandha from Transparent Labs for cortisol regulation and stress resilience. An NAD plus precursor. This deserves its own little talk on its own, but not a full Tuesday talk. So tomorrow I'm going to post just a little, probably sub 2-minute video about the amazing benefits of NAD plus. I'm using a brand from EIR supplements called Longevity. It's for cellular repair, energy, and cognitive function. I also use prebiotics and probiotics. The brand I use is called Cheerific Chocolate Superfood. It tastes like brownie batter. It is so good. But the prebiotics and the probiotics in it can help increase GLP-1 levels. So think all of your semaglutides, your Mounjaro and tirzepatide and all things like that. The prebiotics and probiotics can do the same thing by promoting a healthy gut microbiome. Now, here's a quick note. These are what I'm taking, what I'm testing. If you can see any kind of pattern there, you will see that these all relate to my cortisol levels and my high stress. And that by working to bring those down and balancing my sex hormones, my thyroid is back in shape, my blood sugar is stabilizing, and unless I'm on I-35 or I-14 at certain times of the day, my cortisol and stress are usually pretty low now, where used to just anything was setting that off. But I want to make a note here that this is not a blanket prescription. When I open coaching, we'll customize for each individual woman. I also want to acknowledge something important here. Supplements can feel expensive, and I get it. It's a real concern. The way I've learned to look at it is like health insurance. Insurance is money in hopes that we never have to use it. We have homeowners insurance hoping we never get broken into or have a devastating fire or anything like that. We have car insurance, but we hope we never get in a wreck or that it's stolen where we have to use it. We have health insurance, usually through our jobs, but basically most of it only used for illness or injury. So it's really more like sick insurance. So again, we hope we never have to use it. Supplements are money I invest so I can stay healthier longer and need less intervention and copays and deductibles later on. The investment is what I consider true health insurance. Not every supplement is worth the price tag, and not everyone needs the same things I do. But when you choose wisely, it's less about buying bottles and more about buying yourself a margin for better health. Here's my disclaimer so nobody comes back later on and says, well, Lorena said. So supplements are generally safe, but they're not always for everyone. Always check with your doctor, especially if you have thyroid issues, a cancer history, or take other medications. Choose brands with transparency. If you need help, reach out. I will help you. I have done extensive research into multiple different brands, ensuring NSF qualities, third-party testing, all of the things that consider them safe, no shady fillers. Just let me know. I will help you locate one that's right for you. Because when it comes to supplements, quality matters as much as the label. I can help you narrow them down. You can take that list to your doctor. So here's your takeaway. Supplements are not replacements. They're reinforcements. They're like scaffolding around a strong building. The building still needs a solid foundation of food, movement, and rest. Tomorrow I'll post a graphic and zoom in on the NAD Plus that I mentioned earlier, specifically what it does, why it's a big deal for energy and hormones, and what my personal experience has been reintroducing it into my routine. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you. What supplements are you most curious about? Drop me a comment or a DM so I can put them on the list for future deep dives. And before I go, just remember, you are charming, you are strong, you are vibrant, and you are loved. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Funky pills, baby.